Again, welcome everyone to tonight's forum meeting. We're not going to use the microphone like I've got a loud voice. So, declaration of opening of tonight's forum meeting is made at 5:30 p.m. Welcome councillors, staff, and members of the public. It's good to see some members of the public here, including some semi-regulars. Welcome, Gary. And just for the members of the public, tonight is a forum. It's a Q&A night. It's question and answers for the members of the public can ask questions and participate. And more relevant is councillors can ask questions about any item that's up. Next week is the decision-making night. Item number 2 is open procedures. So item 2.1 is acknowledgement of country. So we are on beautiful Ballabong land at the moment. So the Shire of Northern would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we meet, and that is both the Ballabong and the Wadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And for those of you who don't know, whilst we're on Ballabong land here, to the west of the Shire, particularly Wundowie, and to the west of Wundowie, it's Wadjuk country. So item 2.2, which is a new item, and this is for council members, staff and members of the gallery. Just reminded or advised, this meeting will be live streamed and audio recorded and made available on the Shire of Northern's YouTube channel, which probably has 1 subscriber at the moment. As members of the public want to access the recording of this meeting, they can also do so via the Shire of Northern website. Item number 3 is attendance. So we have 8 councillors sitting around the table. We'll get to the 9th in a minute. And we have all the staff as listed around the table. So they'll be recorded as such. Item 3.2 is apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Mancelli, who is ill and unable to attend and does not want to infect anyone else. Item number 3.3 on page 7 is approved leave of absence. That is nil. And item 3.4 absent. That is nil. We are now on page 8. So item number 4 is disclosure of interest. For members of the public, councillors will make a disclosure, whether it be financial, indirect financial, proximity or impartial. So everyone is aware that they, when they are discussing an item, if it's financial or indirect financial or proximity, they cannot participate in any discussions. So I'll just go through these, and as all councillors are aware, they are able to raise these as the item comes up tonight. So we have a declaration of interest from Councillor Appleton on item 13.1.1, Wundowie Progress Association. Councillor Appleton has made a declaration of impartiality. Members of the Wundowie Progress Association are known to Councillor Appleton. It's the same item, 13.1.1, Wundowie Progress Association, review of lease, Wundowie Hall. Councillor Gierak has declared impartiality. Several members of the Wundowie Progress Association are known to Councillor Gierak. Same item, 13.1.1. Councillor Biglan. Councillor Biglan has declared impartiality. Councillor Biglan is Secretary Treasurer of the Wundowie Progress Association, and also that is non-paid, so it's a voluntary position. 13.1.1, the same item. Councillor Williams has declared impartiality. Some members of the Wundowie Progress Association are known to Councillor Williams. Councillor Williams is an executive member of the Bakers Hill Progress Association, which currently leases the Bakers Hall Recreation Centre, Bakers Hill Recreation Centre, apologies. That's also mentioned in the agenda item. The extent of the interest is minimal, possible perception only. 13.3.1, item 13.3.1, President Antonio, that's me, has declared impartiality. This is proposed outbuilding 91 Gillette Road, Northam. The neighbours opposed to this application are known to President Antonio. Item 13.3.2, proposed gymnasium, childcare centre and group dwelling, 380 Fitzgerald Street West, Northam. Councillor Williams has declared impartiality. One of Councillor Williams' children owns and resides in a property close to the proposal on Fitzgerald Street. It is not in proximity, it is in the area. So non-dependent child, no proximity interest, nil impartiality, but just raised so people are aware of that. If councillors want to give me a declaration of interest as the item comes up, they're quite welcome to do so. We'll now go to page 9. So that's item number 5, announcements by the presiding member. That is without discussion. So I will leave it at that, and then I'll go to page 11. Item number 6 is public questions, when I invite members of the public to ask questions. And I know I have a first person who's going to ask a question and set an example for everyone else.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Lloyd. I'm a family daycare educator operating in the town side of Northam. I have been back as a provider since 2012 and have maintained a 2-year wait list over that 12 years. My interest is not self-serving. I don't have a concern about my future business viability. I am not a babysitter. I am an early childhood development specialist. I operate 5 days a week, and I currently have 21 children enrolled on my books, and I have 15 plus children attending my service on a weekly basis. I have worked tirelessly and continuously to build and maintain a stellar reputation for excellence in childcare. Over the past 12 years, I've welcomed workplace students into my service from Northam Senior High School, St Joe's, TAFE and Perth-based training firms. I've worked with and supervised Year 10, 11 and 12 students as they're training their early education and care achievements, and mature age students with English as a second language, students both on the spectrum and with mental health delicacies. I've built and maintained strong working relationships with early childhood teachers, therapists, educators, trainers and providers locally in our sector over the last 32 years. I have built a close network of working relationship with all of the family daycare educators in Northam without the barrier of whatever service they operate under. Working in the early education and care sector is my business, and I make it my business to know my local industry and my sector. I believe I am qualified and suitably knowledgeable enough to ask these questions, especially with the recent posts on Facebook and the inaccuracies I was presented with when I rang council this week. My first question is, which Shire staff members and councillors are currently on the working party that have defined and are monitoring the Northam Shire's priority of early childhood education and care strategy? My second question is, can Shire explain they're placing restrictions on some family daycare educators operating to only operate between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m, restricting care operators to families at our service when they have over the same time frame approved services without minimum and ongoing out-of-school hour care requirements that they must meet or maintain, and that their businesses should have continued to operate. However, with no restrictions in place, the said services subsequently all failed the community's expectations and have since closed. And why council are seemingly currently considering rezoning and residential land for a childcare centre for 60 children. Third question, can Shire clarify what considerations have been made in the Shire's early childhood education and care strategy for the partnership of locals currently residing in and around the Shire of Northam who have already invested significant financial and human resources to open a new 68-place childcare centre in Northam, and what protections are in place to support these local residents already significantly engaged and who are preparing to provide services to our community. If the Shire staff or council members would like at any time to ask about our industry, our federal, state regulations, please feel free to contact me. I don't think it's appropriate that we have such blatant misinformation on Facebook, and it would be best if when the public rang the Shire, they got the right information rather than variations of what's really happening. Thank you.
Samuel, we'll take those on notice because there's a little bit of detail in those. If that's all right.
Sure.
Might be able to answer them tonight. And I'd rather give a proper detailed answer anyway. And can we actually grab a copy of that on your way out?
I'll bring it out to the girls.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, if that's all right. So we've still got public questions. Is there any more members of the public who'd like to ask a question? No? Just making sure that's no. The public do get to participate a little bit further, but yeah. So if you don't want to, and you're quite welcome to ask questions next week as well. Take that as a no. So we're on item number 7, is response to previous public questions taken on notice. That's also on page 11. The details as are per page 11. I don't need to read through those. So we go to page 12, is item number 8, is receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations. 8.1 is petitions, we've received none, that is nil. 8.2 is presentations, that is nil. 8.3 is deputations. This is when members of the public can basically make a statement or apply to make a statement if you'd like to. So I'll just check with the public again if any member of the public would like to make a statement, or at least apply for next week. You're still able to participate next week as well. So if that's a no, I'll leave it at this stage. We'll now go to page 13. So is item number 9 is applications for leave of absence. There is one there. I just wanted to check with the councillors. Is there any questions on that application? No, we'll deal with that next week. Item number 10 is confirmation of minutes. So 10.1 is confirmation of minutes from the ordinary council meeting held 24th of January 2024. Is there any questions on that, councillors? No? So item 10.2 is minutes from the annual electors general meeting held 24th January 2024. Any questions on those minutes, councillors? No? So item number 10.3 is notes from the council forum meeting that's been held tonight, so we'll deal with that item next week. Item number 11 is items brought forward for the convenience of those in the public gallery. So we are going to go to page 37. So item 13.3.2, proposed gymnasium, childcare centre and group dwellings, 380 Fitzgerald Street West, Northern. Just a reminder that Councillor Williams declared impartiality in this item. So we go to start on page 37. So councillors, questions on this item? Yep, Councillor Bigland.
Can you confirm that, which of...
Thanks, Mr. Hunt. I'm going to invite you up.
Do we know, if it's approved, which of the dwellings are going to be built first? Are they going to build the townhouses, the gym or the childcare? Or is the intent to build all 3 concurrently at the same time? Thank you.
We're not aware of the staging. We're not aware of a staging plan, so at this stage, if it gets approved, like most development approved, they'll get a 2-year window to commence development. But yeah, they haven't, as I'm aware, and I'll have that question on notice, but I don't think they've given us a staging plan of what the proposals construct first if approved.
Further questions?
Well,
Yeah, Councillor Hughes.
on the parking, it looks
very tight to get out. If you park up towards the gym, you just about hit the residential places you're trying to get out, especially if it's full of cars. Hold it anyhow. Very tight.
So the question is,
Is it too tight to get out? Has it been tested?
it would have had the turning circles put on as part of the design. But yeah, I can understand the question. Yeah, there's a little bit of an unusual parking arrangement with the parallel bays with staff parking at the front, etc. So, but yeah, there is a couple of conditions that are recommended for car parking management, etc. So yeah, that is an issue that staff have identified, and hence the recommended conditions.
Further questions, councillors? Yep, Councillor
Yes,
Guerra.
also in regards to the parking, thank you, Mr. President. I only really counted 22 parking bay. I understand that there is a turning bay and a loading bay, but that's obviously cannot be permanently occupied by people who using the premises. So then I just seems like, yeah, and again, the parking bays one behind each other. So how would that work in an emergency situation and people have to evacuate quickly and leave the car park?
So in terms of the second part of the question, in terms of there will be a requirement for a parking management plan, so in an emergency situation, staff of either the facilities would need to be aware of that. That'll be covered by that condition. In terms of the exact number of car parking bays, I can clarify that, but it's on the plan, so we'll have to take that one on notice. I'm sure in the officer's report.
Sorry, councillors and staff, can you just use your microphones? I'm not using mine only because of his feedback, just when we're asking questions, just to report. Apologies for that.
Thank you. I prefer that question to thank you with the floor. So the gym and the residential premises will be built on the boundary of the block. Do I understand it correctly? Looking at the plans?
That's correct.
So I was just driving past, and on the block next to where the residential building will be, there are some buildings very close proximity to the fence of the premises. So how would that affect the privacy of the current residents on the block?
Are you referring to the
Eastern side.
eastern side, which is the
funeral
funeral
home.
home? So the officer would have done that assessment in terms of complying with the overlooking and privacy provisions of the R code. So it should be an issue, privacy issues.
Thank you. Also, the plans. Oh, sorry, I didn't think I turned it off. Also, the plans indicate, well, there was a mention of a accessible entrance from the line way, so not from Fitzgerald Street, from where, what was the other street? And on the plan, on page 50, I could not identify any access on that side. So are these plans finalized plans, or are they just proposed plans?
I know these are the plans that have been submitted for approval. So in terms of the question, is there another alternative access?
Yes.
No, it's one way in and one way out on Fitzgerald Street.
Also into the building?
In terms of accessible accessibility for the building, that's provided through the universal accessible bay at the front of the childcare centre, so we comply with the universal accessible requirements.
Councillor Geary has another question.
No, thank you.
Other questions, councillors? I'll go Councillor Appleton first.
Yeah. So the land is currently set up as a mixed use zoning, but it also says that the childcare centre would become under permitted, and it also says that the gymnasium and the group dwellings come under discretionary. Usually it's one or the other. Would we need to make an amendment to the local planning scheme 6 to actually allow this building to continue?
No. The property is zoned mixed use, which is what allows for the uses for which they're applying for. It's a little bit, I guess, not complicated, but confusing in terms of there's 2 different land uses on the site, or 3 different land uses on the site, the gymnasium and the group dwellings, which are the most discretionary uses, which means they can be improved, and then the childcare permit, which is the permitted use, which means it's a use that is permitted on that site, obviously subject to various other conditions, and hence the region being submitted to council for the car parking variation.
Councillor Ryan first.
Thanks, President. So just in regards to app itself, is Samra quite limited in terms of, is that a local company or is that like a city-based company? There's not a lot of detail in regards to, I'm just thinking from a check who the directors might be or how local.
Staff on that one, I don't know.
I'm not aware of whether they're like community Perth, I assume they're Perth-based company.
Councillor Polton.
I was wondering if we could get some copies of the previous documentation that was submitted before.
Yeah, that's not a problem, we can follow those.
Councillor Polton.
And also, can you please go over the requirement that's important to have the 2 dwellings and whether they're going to be a separate residential house that has anything to do with the gym or daycare centre or not?
Yeah, there'll be 2 separate dwellings, not associated with the childcare or the gym in terms of it. They may have caretakers there, but it can also be totally separate, so yeah, they're not related as such.
Councillor Gierek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just in regards to the plan on page 60, can you please confirm what the pink lines are indicating on the plan?
On page, that's it there.
Yeah.
Are they services?
The pink line on that, that's a land gate map, that's just a centre line of a road or a track, so the red line is the property boundary. The pink line is just indicative of a carriageway or a track.
So that pink line cutting through the park lot, that pink line, that would not have any kind of impact on the.
No, that's correct.
Councillor Polton, I believe you had another question.
Yeah, the requirement to have 2 dwellings instead of 1.
They've applied for a group dwelling, which is able to be permitted on the property, whereas a single dwelling is not, so hence they've applied for a group dwelling.
Councillor Gierek.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Morrell Street, like that road is obviously not developed, but would there be sufficient space for additional parking, or how could that be considered for additional parking facility, and would they be requiring to perhaps develop, a parking bay on that area? Or the Shire would be considering to develop parking bays in that area?
So Morrell Street, again.
Page 60, I think that was.
That section is actually closed as a road. The road closed a number of years ago, so it is a separate reserve. So that could potentially be an option if that's required. There was some thought at some stage of reopening that, but yeah, as part of this application, that hasn't been considered.
Further questions, councillors? Councillor Polton.
Up the floodway, that section to the west side of the,
To the west, which is just to the door here, it's a drain, there is an open drain that runs through under the road and then through that as well.
it doesn't have to remain open.
No, that could be developed at some stage in the future.
Further questions, councillors? Yeah, councillor Hughes?
You wouldn't give the developers an option to buy Morell Street, and then that would really then open it right up.
That hasn't been considered as part of this application. The land is reserved, it's not owned by the council, it has to go through the state government through that process as well.
Councillor Gierak?
Yeah, my other concern was because of looking at the plans, that whole area where we had surface, the drainage of the property and where the water will go to. Obviously, there were no plans for rainwater tanks or any kind of drainage on the plans would be being provided. So I'm just a bit concerned about flooding the property behind in case of heavy rain, water runs off the hard surfaces.
Yeah, there is a condition again requiring the detailed drainage plans, so that's condition 13, so that's always to look at those issues and the engineering team have had a preliminary look at some of the issues with the drainage, and obviously there is that drain located to the west of the site.
Thank you. Further questions, councillors? Yeah, councillor Appleton?
In the agenda item, it speaks about there being available parking in the surrounding areas and the Shire being willing to let people use the parking at the Shire offices after hours. Is this a serious consideration?
It is. I mean, that, we also have, I know it's a fair distance away at the old railway station museum. That's public car parking that was developed by the Shire 100 years ago, and when the hotel across the road was developed, that was one of the options that was put forward then. So yeah, I don't see it as being an issue, particularly after hours.
Further questions, councillors? No, just had a couple myself, and I put that on the question, just to ask questions. There were just a couple of comments on page 40 about the boundary wall on the site works, and I think they were just outside, like it was 500 mil, and the boundary wall was just a little bit above it. I take it that's normally approved under delegated authority, so that's not an issue from a planning perspective for councillors to worry about.
That's correct.
I did have questions about parking, but someone's asked that. On page 42, you might know this off the top of your head, approval 15, what does the acronym AHD stand for?
Australian Python. So that's just a term that's reference to the river level, etc.
Okay, thank you. And you may not know the answer. If this was approved, what's the timeline from here? Proposed timeline, or is that something we don't worry about?
I'm not aware of the time frame. I understand they, if approved, they are keen to develop, but yeah, so with a normal development, probably get 2 years to reach to commence. So, and obviously they have additional plans, if approved, that they need to produce prior to construction. So yeah, but yeah, they haven't. I can take that on notice if they have given a time frame, but yeah, at this stage they're still going through the development approval process.
Thank you. Yeah, councillor Ryan.
Just going back to the drainage issue. So, point 13, the recommendation is for them to set a plan. If next week the item is approved and they submit a plan that's unacceptable to the Shire, what's the process then for the actual development? Will they then withdraw, or then we say we refuse it on that ground?
In terms of that process, if they can't comply with the condition of approval, they believe the condition is unreasonable, they do have a right of review through the State Administrative Tribunal, but generally, if they can't comply with that condition, we would generally work with them to explain or work through what the issues are. But ultimately, if we're still not satisfied, we could issue the building permit, and then they have that as a deemed refusal, and then could go to the state administrative process.
Further questions, councillors? No, so we can let Mr. Hunt go, but we will invite him back when we come to the other. Oh, sorry, there's another question, councillor Geary.
Yeah, I just noticed that, apologies, I just noticed that I had another question highlighted here. So it says on page 57 that the development is compatible with the evolving nature of the locality and future desired character. So what is this statement referring to?
Page 57. So that comment would relate to if the development's been undertaken in a mixed-use zone, and the mixed-use zone had the intent of having those different land uses in there. So that's what the saying. That there's obviously commercial uses, there's residential uses in the nearby vicinity, and so the officer is saying it's compatible with that the zoning of the property and what's being developed in the immediate area.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure there's no further questions. Thanks, Mr. Hunt. We'll invite you back with the other development one. So we'll go back to page 14. Our members of the public are quite able to stay or going out, and I don't think they'll be. So we've got item number 12 is reports of committee meetings. That is nil. So we go to page 15 is item 13, officer reports. 13.1 is CEO's office. 13.1.1 is Wundowie Progress Association. Review of lease, Wundowie Hall, 47 Baronia Avenue, Wundowie. Just a reminder that we have declarations of interest from Councillor Appleton, Gierak, Bigland and Councillor Williams. And we also have two, so I'll just read them out so people are aware. Councillor Polgen has declared impartiality. Councillor Polgen knows members of the Progress Association. That's both. And Councillor Hughes has declared impartiality. Some members of the Wundowie Progress Association are known to Councillor Hughes. So that's all the interest, items of interest there. So questions on this, councillors? Councillor Gierak?
Mr. President, I only have one question regarding the summary review submitted in one of the charges, which says one day we take, Harmony take one user for $50 per day, but then it says the main hall is $32 per hour, the commercial hire. And it's no indication why is the difference in price, and also if the Harmony take one is hiring the facility on a weekly basis, or this was just a one-off charge, or
I have to leave that to the CEO, that one.
I'll take that question on notice. I think we will take the opportunity to just remind the Progress Association about the schedule of fees and charges in terms of the charges, but I would need to take that question on notice in terms of the whether that's a regular use. Thank you.
Councillor Bigland?
Thank you. It was charged at $32 per hour, but it was an hour and a half. So it's to do with how the time. It's not to do with
The rate.
the rate. So theme type is in there. When you read the actual invoice, it says $34.50 per day, but it's $32 for an hour and a half, a night, a week, whilst they're not the $34. So it's not different, because I looked at that and that's not what I paid. But it does look like that because of the way you worked it out.
Councillor Geary, have you
And that
an
was
answer?
in line with, sorry, that was in line with exactly the same invoicing that the Shire have done with the prior year, so I'll use their formatting and just work out the days.
Yeah, that's clarified for you, councillor Guerra.
So that's on weekly basis.
Yes. So if they use it for, if they only do it for a term, so while it's at school, and then they don't do it during holidays, so you have to calculate each week, take out, so.
That's definitely clarified. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions, councillors? This item? No, there's no further questions. We'll deal with that next week. We go to page 25. So item 13.2 is engineering services. Item 13.3 is development services. So we're going back to that. I'm going to invite Mr. Hunt back up. We've just got you to stay. So item 13.3.1 is proposed outbuilding 91 Gillette Road, Northern. Just a reminder that President Antonio has declared part in this item. Questions on this, councillors? Councillor Appleton?
In the brief, it speaks to some of the complaints as to why the shed should be further away from the boundary. Part of that is flooding and previous earthworks destroying the root lines of trees along that fence. Where the proposed shed is there currently trees along that fence line?
Yeah, we're going to try and check the site. Did we have that or not?
Certainly for any public comment at this point.
Boy, that is a right. Just checking your latest there. I don't believe there is, but.
Yeah, that is. Google says that is.
What do you say Google says it is?
There is vegetation on the boundary, but I believe it's on the neighbour's property. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. And there's no earthworks required.
Councillor Appleton, happy with that answer? Oh, satisfied that was the answer? Don't have to be happy with it, just the next question. Yep, Councillor Williams?
In the submission by the neighbours, they talk about the property having a naturally sloping terrain leading into 91 Phillip Road. So they are higher, the submitters are higher than property that the subject property. Is that correct?
Higher in terms of is their dwelling higher than the adjoining neighbour?
Is the property, it says their property is on the side of a hill, and it says which has a naturally sloping terrain leading into 91. So is the water that they're talking about running from their property into the applicant's property, or is it the other way around?
I believe their complaint relates to the water from the applicant's property running into theirs.
The applicant's property's uphill, they're down there.
Because of the earthworks, yeah. That's, I think, the body of that complaint or concern.
Councillor Gierak?
Also, is the shed will be at a higher elevation than the house itself or the entrance of property, or a lower elevation? I tried to figure it out from the fence, but I couldn't quite see.
No, the shed will be lower than the existing house on the property. As the plan on my page.
So that means then the water on the drive from the driveway would be running towards the shed.
The driveway from the existing driveway?
Yeah, so on the same side, on the existing development, the shed is behind the house and the shed will be at a lower elevation than the house.
That,
or higher?
lower than the house.
Lower, yeah. So then the water from the driveway would be running towards the shed.
I'd have to take that question on notice in terms of, I haven't, any site photographs of what's there at the moment, but, there is a condition requiring the stormwater drainage to be managed on the site, so, just as I've obviously assessed that and believe it can be conditioned, but yeah, we can provide some more information for the meeting next week.
Thank you. Councillor Bigland?
Does the proposed building shed impact the residents of 83 Gillett Road, i.e. is it next to their residential house or any of their buildings currently, or will it be?
Not directly, but what we can do is provide an overall aerial photograph, which I'm not sure if the location plan was attached, so that for next week, councillors can see where the proposed shed location is in relation to the adjoining property. I'll make it a bit more clearer for the elected members.
Councillor Ryan?
Thank you, President. So looking at that layout on page 29. Yep. Got the shed, so I'm trying to follow it on my. So it says that there is 4,500 is the distance on the left hand side of the shed. Looking at the map, and then it's so it's 4.5 metres and 7 metres. The back of it, the landowner that filed a objection letter, are they on the left-hand side of this map, I'm assuming? Right, they're behind. Yeah, so they just left the shed or behind the shed?
Or to the shed look at the plan, correct?
Yeah, right. Follow-up question, right? So if the impact of moving the shed is 10 metres, what would the impact be if we like the shed to be moved to 10? Is that going to affect the landowner behind, or is that going to affect the owners? And what would the impact be?
The impact would be on the proponent. Obviously, they've located the shed for what they believe is in the location that would suit them in terms of their overall development. But we have referred it to the adjoining neighbours to the rear, and they haven't objected to the proposed setback as it is at the moment. So increasing that setback, I don't think would be an issue for any of the adjoining neighbours. Would be for the proponent, but obviously that's not what they're applying for.
Councillor Gira?
Thank you, Mr. President. In the officer's comment, it says the applicant has advised that the proposed location facilities access from the existing driveway and connection to services. Like, I'm wondering what services they need to connect to and which could not be connected to if they move the shed further away.
I'm assuming that's power and or potentially water that they're referring to.
So there would not be a need to connect to storage or anything.
No.
That's
What's clearly being provided there, so it would be purely, I would imagine, power and water.
Further questions, councillors? Yeah, Councillor Ryan?
Just following up from the line of inquiry with the objection note or letter of objection. Has there been any discussions facilitated with the Shire and I suppose the opponent as well as the person who's or the landowners that are objecting to see whether some sort of agreement could be reached in terms of moving it going forward, just to not see any future conflicts minimising them?
I've had that question. I'm not sure whether we believe the proponent has tried to negotiate with the adjoining neighbour, but I'm not sure where that got to. Obviously, as it's been resolved, it's been referred to the council for determination.
Further questions, councillors? Yeah, Councillor Ryan?
Is it possible that we could speak with the proponent during the week and see what their response is moving the proposed shed either 7 metres or 10 metres. So it'd be 7 by 7 or 10 by 7, just to see what their thoughts are and their response to that. So moving so increasing the 4.5 to 7 or 10.
The proposal for in year 6.
That's the staff recommended
Staff
6.
recommended 6.
They're applying for 7 and 4. Obviously we can ask the question, but I can imagine the answers they want to, or they were applying for what's proposed at the moment. So we can just certainly ask that question.
At least then we've got responses to what their thoughts are, why that's inappropriate or appropriate, or whether they accept or reject.
Further questions, councillors? Yeah, Councillor Hughes.
Why can't the shed be put on the other side of the house and there's plenty of room? Is that because it keeps everything together, or is it that side?
I would imagine that's the intent to have it near the driveway, etc. But they have.
That's the answer. Further question, yeah, Councillor Polton.
Our public complaint isn't relating to the shed itself, rather the impact of erosion from previous works done. Is there the option to include some sort of improvement to how the rain actually flows across to both properties?
Yes, the issue, the development, that was, the development of the dwelling was done in accordance with the plans. I don't think we can impose a condition trying to rectify that. In dealing with this particular application, you have to deal with the shed or outputting application as it sits at the moment. But, yeah, I don't think we can tie the two together, unfortunately.
Councillor Appleton? No? So further questions, councillors? I just had one on page 32. The complainant just mentioned that they'd made complaints about the drainage. I just wanted to clarify: were they actually made to the Shire or not? Or were they just complaints? I noticed that on notice.
I'm not sure. I'll have to take that question on notice as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, just on page 32. It's for reference. So further questions, councillors? No. Well, Mr. Hunt, we have one more for you, so we go to page 61. So item 13.3.3, proposed medical centre, 122 Fitzgerald Street East, Northern. Questions on this, councillors? Councillor Hughes?
With the parking, I heard years ago that the buildings, the properties along there owned land that went into the parking at the back. That's already how all the parking area there. Their blocks go into that, is that true?
Historically, certainly, the current legal boundary does go into that car park.
Further questions, councillors? Councillor Gierak?
Again, with the parking arrangement, proposed cars behind each other within the car park, the 4 parking bays. Is that an acceptable arrangement, first of all? Secondly, the plans indicate like short parking bays and long parking bays, so can we, put in the condition that people who are employed there only have 2 short cars and 2 long cars to fit into the parking bays, or where they will park otherwise? They will have to park in the public parking area, I guess.
So yeah, the parking that's proposed on the side is only for staff, so that has to be signposted accordingly. And then, yeah, obviously the public parking is proposed to be in the public car park area and or at the front on the on-street parking. So again, for the owner to manage their staff parking, etc.
Councillor Geary?
Just further questions, if I may. There is, on the plans, I don't seem to identify any entrance from the car park into the medical centre, so the entrance will be only mainly from, or only strictly from Fitzgerald Street?
There is an entrance shown at the rear of the property.
It says,
But
staff
generally
only.
staff only, correct? So that would be the public access at this stage proposed through Fitzgerald Street.
So, I'm just wondering if that's appropriate for a medical centre, because it's a quite long walk for people if they park behind the facility, walk around and enter from the front.
So the question is, I mean, I guess the officers have made the assessment and believe that there is sufficient parking in the vicinity, whether it's on-street parking or within a relatively close proximity to the development. But that's probably a question for the proponent.
Councillor Geary's got another.
So, yeah. I'll probably better not in the meantime, but there's also on the plan, there is a staff room at the back with a staff toilet opening from the kitchen with a single door. So from the dining area and the kitchen area. Is that something that is acceptable? No, okay, all right.
You got a page number, Councillor Geary?
I think it's 72, 74. So the very back of the building.
So the question is whether the staff water closet opening on the staff room.
Well, the staff toilet is opening in the staff room / kitchen area.
I can confirm with our surveyor, obviously, at this stage, we are assessing the planning application, so some of that detail may need to be worked out when they do their building certification work. So, yeah, at this stage, we're looking at the overall use. So, the details of size of water is normally worked out as part of the building process.
Yeah.
Councillor Ryan?
Mr. President, just in regards to the Ackroyd parking bay on Fitzgerald, it's got here that there's a proposed use of loose one Ackroyd parking bay on Fitzgerald Street. Is that in addition to Zanetti Ackroyd parking bay on? Yes.
It's an idiot, I love that.
That's correct. And the other question is this medical facility in addition to like the new player coming into town?
Yes.
Looks like my job. Yeah.
Further questions, councillors? Just want to check there's no further questions on page 64. This is probably like actually. It's got the first dot point there. It's got scheme provision requires 1 space per 5 practitioners. Should that read as 5 spaces per 1 practitioner to get to the 25? Just wanted to clarify that in my head about the number of parking bays.
It's 5 per 1 practitioner, correct?
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure that's right. And I just had a thought as I was reading through this, because there's only 4 treatment rooms or professional rooms, there wouldn't be 5 practitioners there at once seeing patients. So would that change the parking requirements, because there's never going to be 5 practitioners there in operation at the same time?
believe the plan shows 5. Bring that plan up again. We will, based on what the information provided, I can clarify that for next week in terms of questions, how many practices are they proposing to operate
At one time, yeah, and would that change the parking requirements?
I'll get that clarified.
Thank you.
Well, there is a lab, that's brown, isn't it?
Sorry?
There is a part of lab, that's brown.
Yeah, so we'll get it clarified for next week. But I might be reading it wrong too, so I'll just get it clarified. Thanks. Is there any further questions, councillors? Thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. Been on the spotlight for 3 items. You've done very well. So I'll now we'll invite the Executive Manager Corporate Services, Mr. Colin Younger. I remember to ask you this time. So we're going to go to page 77. So 13.4 is corporate services. 13.4.1 is accounts and statement of accounts, January 2024. Is there any questions, urgent questions on this, councillors, or we can email them? I haven't seen urgent question or no, or relevant for everyone. So
Clarification.
yeah, that's right. Councillor Bigland.
Just on the Bobby Hill presentation, can you clarify whether the Darren West was contributing funds to that evening, or did we, as the chairman, agree to funds that evening? Because I noticed that approximately $12,541 towards that evening, and I want to clarification.
I think the CEO might answer this one, if that's all right.
Yes, so certainly the local member was contributing, as were 2 of the local businesses as well. So we will be looking to recoup funds from them.
Thank you.
Anything further urgent with item 13.4.1? Council is still able to email questions, and Mr. Young's very good at getting answers back to us, so if we just do that over the next week. Then we go to page 147. So 13.4.3. Oops, sorry, I've got one page too far. 130, sorry, page 130. Apologise, councillors. 13.4.2, financial report for the period ending 31st of January 2024. While Mr. Young here is see if there's any urgent questions, otherwise they can be emailed in, which I'll be doing as well. So if there's no urgent questions on that, now we can go to page 147. So 13.4.3, transactional banking and merchant services. Questions on this, councillors? Okay, then I'll ask my questions. With this, so what have other local governments done? So now that Bank West is basically getting involved into Commonwealth, have other local governments gone down the same path of just going to Commonwealth that you know of, or are they tendering out?
I certainly am not completely over what other local governments have done, but I currently with Bank West. The only information I have on that actually came from Commonwealth Bank Australia, who said that a lot of their local governments were just transferring across directly to CBA. I think in general, and else there was a desire to change bank accounts. Most local governments would transfer across because I've been involved with organisations before where we have changed banking, and it's quite resource intensive for a period of about 6 months. So I think if we were to go to an additional institution, we would probably need additional resources for 3 to 6 months to do the transaction. Whereas with the Commonwealth Bank Australia, since Bank West is always a subsidy of theirs, they've already got all our details, so it's just a matter of transfer over. So but to answer your question, with what are other local governments doing, I'm
Is there a reputational risk if we don't go out to tender? So from members of the public?
I don't believe so.
Further questions on this, councillors? Councillor Ryan, first.
In terms of any direction, well, there's a lot of local governments that are in a similar boat to us. Have they put any directions out as to what their recommendations are, or whether there's a deal that they've been able to make with a particular financial institution that's a competitive rate that might be worth looking at?
No, the only information we've received from Walga is that are we within the Tenders Act to transition the Commonwealth Bank of Australia right down the tender, and they have confirmed that it's an exempt purchase, it's Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and they have a treaty in place with the federal government, so we can transfer it right down the tender, which is totally the same as the preferred supplier network, which we use quite often in council, therefore down the tender.
Councillor Guerra?
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering if there was an assessment done of the total financial implication of this transaction to our current operation.
Well, there hasn't been a complete analysis taken out. Certainly, if we go with the officer's recommendation to CBA internal resources, we will be able to handle it in-house. Most of the transfer will be done by CBA Australia, since that's the subsidy, they have our information. And probably the main difference between the two banks was with Bank West, we were set up on accounts that on their transaction account they don't pay interest. With CBA Australia, they have a special bank account for local governments, which on current interest rates would give the Shire an additional $100,000 a year in interest revenue from holding that account, rather than with Bank West account, which had no interest attached to it.
Okay.
Further questions, councillors? So no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Young. We had to ask something of you while you came up. So we now go to page 155. So item 13. 152. Oh yes, I'm reading up here now. Thanks, councillor. The one that's up there. So item 13.5 is community services. That is nil. Item 14, matters behind closed doors. That is nil. Item 15, motions of which previous notice has been given. That is nil. Item 16, urgent business approved by decision is nil. Item 17, declaration of closure is made at 6:33 p.m.